The party that will tell you that they're the last guards of democracy, the party that will swear to you that Donald Trump, if he's elected, is going to become a dictator and literally commit violence against anyone who dares cross him, is in fact the party who wants democracy suspended, democracy basically destroyed. They want Donald Trump locked away and forgotten. And actually, they want him dead. They actually want him dead. And they think that they've found a way to make that happen. And I can prove it to you. But first, just listen to the nonsense that the quote unquote serious and unbiased journalists are pushing these days. This is what is really going on.
Very bad thing. The whole world is watching this hoax. You got a DA that's out of control. You have a judge that's highly conflicted. The whole thing is a mess.
Panel's back. Elliot, I was talking to Joey Jackson yesterday, and he said, after that Truth Social post where he was quoting Jesse Waters and is sort of insinuating that people are lying their way into the jury, which prosecutors say that violates the gag order. Joey Jackson was saying maybe it's time for the judge to send a message to Trump, put him in the holding cell for a couple of hours, see if that changes his mood. What do you think?
Absolutely. The problem is that it's not clear how much authority that the judge has to just do that. The judge, at a minimum, has to have a hearing. Under New York state law, it's not the judge being weak or feckless or afraid of Donald Trump. The law says that there's a process that he has to follow. Now,
So Jim Acosta, longtime Trump hater, actually one of the originals, almost solely responsible for a lot of the insane TDS that we get to witness today. You guys might not remember, he's the one that actually asked the Charlottesville question where Trump literally said, and I'm not talking about white nationalists, they should be condemned totally. So that Jim Acosta is now seriously and unapologetically advocating for Donald Trump to be thrown in jail, to send a message, he says. No thought as to what that would actually do to the world, no thought as to if it's even proper or legal. Just do it. Just throw the bastard in jail. And he looks actually disappointed that there would need to be a real court hearing in order to do that.
the question is it civil contempt where you're trying to compel him to behave better in the future? Is it criminal contempt where you're locking him up for things he's done in the past, which is much harder and almost, in effect, requires a separate trial? My big question is, why is the judge waiting until the 23rd, I guess 4 days from now, to even have that hearing in the first place? He could have done so yesterday or today to really send that message that this is important to the court and this conduct needs to stop.
Yeah, Mark, I'm wondering, how does it change the race? We saw what happened when he had the mugshot. Yeah. That fired up his base, obviously. It wasn't really necessary at that point. It kind of wrapped up the nomination. But if he actually has to go into a holding jail cell, what does that do? Do we even know? I guess we don't know.
Listen to these morons, man. What if we just throw him in jail? What does that do? I don't think we know, they say. I mean, maybe some credit here. At least they're pretending to ask the question. But I think we do know. You throw Trump in jail for talking about a case where the state upgraded one expired misdemeanor to 34 pointless felonies that the Congress is now going to use as an excuse to essentially execute the guy. And I'll explain all that in a minute. But I think we do know. I mean, if you do that, the jig is up. You will be exposed as the authoritarian democracy destroyers that you literally claim to be the guards against. And all bets are off. And these people know it. They know it. They know exactly what will happen. And truthfully, honestly, that's probably what they really want.
No, I don't think we know, but it really does put us between this rock and a hard place, right? And the rock is like, listen, he has done something that's wrong. And if it was any of us sitting at this table, would we be, held to a higher standard? Would we have to go, into that holding cell? I think that if he does go into this if that were to happen, first of all, I think you would probably see civil unrest across the country, certainly in some cities. That's one. And two, politically, if I'm the Biden campaign, I don't want to necessarily see him in jail because that's just going to get people more inflamed and more fired up. I don't think that's necessarily great for the country, even if we are bending the rules for something.
We're going to get you guys to weigh in on this in just a moment.
Well, at least that guy had some reasonable things to say. So that means it's probably the last time you'll ever see his face on CNN or any other liberal echo chamber, right? But just think about what you just watched, man. They're basically advocating, they're hoping for the imprisonment of their political foe, the sole reason for the existence of a lot of these people, right? And they are hoping for a front row seat to the unrest and the insanity that will, without a doubt, follow. And what will follow, if these people literally get their way, and if Congress' most recent harebrained scheme comes to pass, is essentially the execution of Donald Trump. Brought to you by the Democrat narrator for the January 6th, Bennie Thompson.
A new bill proposed by the Democratic congressman from the state of Mississippi, Bennie Thompson, would strip Secret Service protection for anyone sentenced to jail for a felony. The, quote, disgraced former Protectees Act is intended, you might think, as a not-so-subtle jab as former President Donald Trump, who, as we all know, is in court facing felony charges this week. But consider this. If it ever got to President Biden's desk, do you think he would sign it? You know who also received Secret Service protection? You know who also is facing felony charges? Hunter Biden.
Sign it. All of this is stupid. All of this is stupid. Like, this is the kind of stupidity that
petty.
causes people to tune out. Like, it's just, and that's with all due respect to Congressman Thomas. I have a lot of respect for him. But, like, this is the type of political garbage that, like, just.
If you get convicted of a felony, why should taxpayers be paying for your protection?
What are you talking about?
Because you might be a high-risk.
It's not hard to get a felony.
Don't commit crimes. Don't commit crimes.
So there's a couple things going on here.
Then don't commit crimes, they say, as they watch the state of New York take an expired business misdemeanor and turn it into 34 opportunities to put a former president in prison and strip him of his Secret Service protection. Now, here's the thing. Giving Congress the benefit of the doubt, I don't think we should, but if you give them the benefit of the doubt, it is possible that their goal is not to actually inflict some sort of mob justice on Donald Trump or their political enemies, right? It could just be a really poorly thought out way to ensure that he actually goes to prison, because a lot of different pundits have guessed that the federal law that directs the Secret Service authority would make it very, very difficult and incredibly costly to actually imprison Donald Trump or any protected person, right? So their idea is take it away and throw him to the wolves, right? Problem solved. But the problem is now, in order to provide for Donald Trump's safety, he ends up in protected solitary custody in some dirty prison somewhere for, don't forget, for writing something down in the wrong ledger. And I'm sorry, man, but if that's what you support, if that's what you want, then you are not a guardian of American democracy. You're literally the enemy of it, right? But that's just my take, guys. I thought you deserved to see that. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you haven't already, be a part of our growth. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Most importantly, share the channel. I'll see you in the next one.